You vape?
Go.
Hey, what flavor, man?
Go.
Yeah. Smoke up!
Hello, and hello to everyone. Dating and development, welcome to the channel. If you know who I am, super stuff. If you don't know who I am, now you know. Men, let's talk frame. Frame's extremely important when it comes to dating, along with having a mental point of origin and putting yourself first, which is really your mental point of origin. That's what it is. Now, I'm going to read some sort of extract from a book I'm currently writing at the moment, and I have a chapter dedicated to frame because it's extremely important when it comes to intergender dynamics between men and women. I'll be explaining that as I go, so let's get started. What is frame? Now, I'm going to quote Rollo Tomasi from The Rational Male from this, because he states that frame is this unspoken acceptance of one person's authority and the other person is going to follow along with that. That's your frame. So in other words, if you want to boil that down to simple perspective, one leads, the other follows. So say for example, you're growing up, right? You have your parents or parent, whatever your case was whilst growing up. You do what your parents told you to do because first of all, you were dependent on them. And second of all, if you didn't do what you were told, then you'd get into trouble. So you were in your parents' frame. They led, you followed. It's the same when it comes to, I suppose, work, your work situation. You have the boss in the office. You follow your boss's orders. You do what the boss tells you. You're working under your boss's frame. So you do what your boss tells you to do. That's what it is. You follow how the way they lead. And it's kind of the same, like, you know, another time way you can put it is like if you're working in a school, you know, you have your principal and you have the teachers. You know, you have to work on the principal's order of getting plans, policies, everything done. I think we get the picture now when it comes to frame. Carrying on. By definition of male-female interdynamics, the man is meant to dominate. That's the natural flow. It's the masculine energy. The man is meant to follow. The woman leads. She submits. Now, not in the way where it's like, you know, a household where, you know, the man engages in fisticuffs, you know, shows her how good at Mortal Kombat he is. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm really getting at is that when she's submissive, she lets the man lead. He can take care of the stuff. It's not about her being an independent woman, trademark. It's more about, okay, I trust in him. I trust in his masculinity. So he can lead. He knows what he's doing. Yeah, I'll test the waters from time to time to see how he really is going, to test his masculinity. But other than that, I can trust in him. But with today's standards, men aren't really in frame. It's about the woman being in frame. And I'm going to get into that a bit later. The man should create a frame in which he is a dominant person. Yet he doesn't. Why though? The answer is clear. Men are told that they have to cater to the woman. We've been told this growing up, even in media, mainstream films. You know, oh, this guy does what the woman does and she falls in love with him. Like, that's the whole BS when it comes to Hollywood movies. Even Disney movies, oh, the guy who does this, blah, blah, blah. Oh, happy ending, whatever the case may be. Bunch of crap, to be honest, really. And men, by today's standards, we are told that we have to abide by whatever female figure in their life tells them to do. Classic example of this is, say you and the boys have a night planned out together. You know, you want to go to a bar, have a few brewskis, shoot some pool, you know, give each other some bro jobs, and your wife says, oh, and you say to the boys, I have to see what the girlfriend says. I have to see what the wife says. You know, whose frame are you really in then? You're certainly not in your own, because you're under her frame. And Esther Vilar, from the author of The Manipulated Man, talks about this a bit more. And she said that men are slaves. Even though the book is like a satirical approach to it, it does hammer home a lot of important points. And she does mention that, like, men are under the women's control. Men are manipulated by women to do their bidding. And men rely on women in order to feel some sort of purpose. It's like that they're worth something. You know, men put a lot of validation in hopes of, like, you know, attracting women and everything else. That makes them feel better about themselves. Men tend to live for the ladies. Like, you have, even like you listen to the love songs of today, like you have men talking about how, like, you know, they'd sacrifice themselves for a lady. Classic example, you know, the Weeknd song. I love this song so much, though. It's such a good tune. It's an absolute banger from Starboy. I Die For You. That's an absolute banger. But that kind of highlights the point. You know, song by Maroon 5, Girls Like You. You know, kind of it all caters for the woman's imperatives, like, oh, I love you, blah blah blah, this and the other. But hey, what is it even, you know? And men, more often than not, come across, I come across men who let their wife or their girlfriends be in charge. And it's quite upsetting to see, in the fact that it's like, you're meant to be a man, you're meant to be living a life of freedom, your purpose, your life's mission. Yes, you see, oh, I have to see what the wife says now, or blah blah blah. Like, honestly, grow a pair. Like, if I, like, you know, say I were to go somewhere with the boys and girls, like, oh yeah, you can't be going there, I'm like, look, I had this plan for ages. You can't start kicking off. Yes, your emotions, what you're feeling, is perfectly like, you know, it's normal, whatever the case may be. I want you to talk about to me how you feel, this, that, and the other. But I had this planned, and you know I had this planned in advance, so I don't know why you're kicking up a fuss if you already knew this. Like, you know, cop the fuck on, really. And you're the man, and you don't have the frame. Simple as. And the thing is, with having the frame, guys, is you gotta put yourself first. You gotta put yourself first. And that's a good way to maintain frame, is to put yourself first. And now, Roald Massey, if I'm correct, makes this your mental point of origin, making yourself your own mental point of origin. You put yourself first. Because in an era, you know, when men are being masculine, when men are leading, men are taking charge, that's seen as, oh, you know, not stunning and brave. It's seen as, oh, boo-hoo, let me cry some tears because men are doing this, patriarchy this, p-word that, I banged my cousin the other day. You know, it's stupid. It's just stupid shite really going on. And so men are bad. Well, you know, women in charge, oh, that's great. And, you know, if a woman wants to go be CEO, whatever the case may be, go for it, you know, you do you. You do you. But men being masculine is nothing toxic. Like, you know, it's baffling, but that's the society we live in today. And as men, even growing up, and even, you know, living in this is what I noticed myself, in a single parent household after my father passed away, it's more like, follow your heart, you know, do what feels right, do with, like, and that's a good thing to say, but like, follow your heart, follow your emotions. Like, there wasn't much logic there, and because I was overfraught with emotion, I had no emotional center. But I can now, since taking time to develop my masculine self, to develop frame a lot more logical in my approach to things. I barely run off emotion, maybe 10% of the time, 15 even at that. And we have to think for others instead of ourselves. You know, how does that person feel about it? How does that make them feel? Like, if you were to put yourself first, you know, even the simple heading out with the boys, you're putting yourself first, girlfriend. But what about me? How do I feel? I thought you loved me so much. You know, you're made bad to think for yourself. Because you wanted to think for yourself, you're all of a sudden the bad guy. Which is, you know, not really acceptable, because it's okay to think about yourselves. People think about themselves the entire time, and it's perfectly fine to put yourself first. Now, it's okay to think for yourself, as I just said, and your first line of thought should not be, when it comes to people, oh, I wonder how this will make my girlfriend or wife feel. Now, if you're going to do something totally stupid, like cheating on someone or something like that, you shouldn't be thinking in the first place, oh, you know, how's this making one to feel if they find out? What I should do is, okay, I should break up with first and then pursue this girl. Easy as. Just have a man. Have a man. Have a boy. Be a man and grow some balls. If you haven't seen your friends in ages, go and see them. Easy as. Your significant other, cannot decide or dictate what you do. If you follow what she says and you decide not to go out, you are under her frame. She controls the relationship. Now, as a human, you have needs like everyone else. We all have needs, men. And I'm not here saying to be an absolute, D-head to people. Not that at all. When it comes to being your own mental point of origin, you have to consider how things affect you first. How does this affect me? How does this thing that happened affect me? And then think about the others. You first, and then others. And the key, and that's one of the big things to building a strong frame. That's one of the big keys. That is nearly the key to building a strong frame, is making yourself your own point of origin. The more confidence you have, the stronger your frame will be, because you have options. In being confident and developing yourself, you start to know what's your value. You don't tolerate a woman's crap. If she begins to disrespect you, you place her because you're high value. You have more options. If someone's acting up and causing a major disrespect, okay, thank you, next. Super stuff. Easy as, bish bash bosh, bingo. A woman has to qualify herself for you. She has to qualify herself. If you don't qualify yourself for a woman, she has to qualify herself for you. Because you don't want to end up being with the wrong type of person. Someone who's not suited for you. And that's what I say, men. You have to vet her for 60 days. That's why you don't rush into a relationship in the first 60 days of dating. You take your time. You let things go. You let things flow. Not go, we let things flow. And a woman must enter your frame. And if she doesn't like the world you have created for yourself, then she can go. You shouldn't have to change yourself for her. It doesn't make sense. Because you're not being truly authentic to you. And you know deep down in your core that you're not being trustworthy to yourself. You're not being truthful to yourself. Apologies for all the coughing. If she enters your frame, she'll test it. She will, because she wants to see if you see what you're made of. She wants to see if you're the real deal. Easier said. She will test to see if you have yourself together. If she can get you off center and shake it, oh, she'll shake more. You bet your sweet pippy she will. You're the leader and she wants to follow that frame. She needs to trust in you. Because female energy is just chaos. It's genuine chaos. And she can feel safe when she's feeling that chaos, that you can control it, that you can weather the chaos. That's why women's emotions ebb and flow. It's like the waves in a storm. The storm's going to come eventually, but if you can handle that chaos she throws at you very well and not get out of your boat or not fall out of your boat, then you're all G. And when women typically have this kind of chaotic outburst of emotions and anxiety and everything else, and you handle it very well and in a very masculine way, the bedroom action tends to happen afterwards because she's very attracted to you. You showed a high sense of masculinity. And your frame, by all means necessary, men, it has to be genuine. You can't build it. It's like a house of cards. She catches on that this whole thing is a charade. It's a whole farce. It's like setting a tinder box on fire. And if she finds out it's fake, the testing will increase tenfold because she doubts your value. And how do you create frame? Easy. Experience. That's why I advocate to date around. You learn from rejection. If one thing doesn't work, if it doesn't enter your frame, that's okay. Take the experience from it and go again. You keep building yourself up and up and up, and you get better and better and better. It's like your experience points in a game. Like, maybe Kingdom Hearts. You learn dodge roll, graceful, good for avoiding enemies. You learn how to guard, and then you can learn these other moves to empower your attack, like Ars Arcanum. Well, no, you just get gradually better and better. You get stronger and stronger, and your confidence will increase because you have the ability to handle rejection and to move on past it, because it's all about having that abundance mindset. And with that abundance mindset, you just brush it off and try again. When it comes to talking to women or whatever, go in with a ID GAF, attitude. I don't give a frick. Go with that attitude. Just be bold and brash. You've got nothing to lose. And that's all the time I have for this one. Hope that made some sort of sense for frame and mental point of origin. Men, put yourselves first. Easy as. And before this video ends, make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. Take care, God bless, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Talk soon.